Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of What the Hell Happened to My Hauls. I'm going to be catching you up on how January went and telling you all about my plans for this series in February. This is a series that is basically about me looking back at all my old hauls and looking at the books that I still have unread from those lists. And then trying to prioritise reading those books in the particular month that they were hauled in years previously. I'll leave the first episode linked down below if you're interested. I'm filming this a little bit before the end of January, but as I thought January was really manageable for this challenge, I only had 4 books left to read. Technically I had 5, but one of them was in my mum's house and I wasn't able to get my hands on that, so unfortunately I wasn't able to read that one. Of the 4 books that I had access to that was on this reading challenge, I'm going to assume I read all 4 of them. As I said, I'm filming this a couple days before the end of the month, and I do have the non-fiction book to finish up, but fingers crossed everything got read. This is probably the most manageable month that I think I'm gonna have for this challenge, which seems strange seeing as I'm just barely completing it, but I think because there were so few books, I just was really able to incorporate them into my reading seamlessly. I didn't feel any pressure to read them, and that's really what I wanted from this goal or challenge. By the looks of it, there are a lot more books on my list for February, and there are also a couple of readathons that are happening in February that I want to participate in, and I don't know how well most of these books are going to fit into those particular readathons, so I'm going to try and participate in as much as I can and not put any pressure on myself to have to complete this challenge. I've always said that I wanted this to be something that was really stress-free. But one of the read-along things that is happening on BookTube in February is Femmeuary, which is run by Lauren from Lauren in the Books. I think this is a fantastic idea, and it is all about consuming work by women. So that is in your TV, your films, your music, and of course your reading. I think a lot of the books on this list are going to be by female authors, so it should be really easy to incorporate that as part of my reading in February. Anyway, I'm just going to get into it. So I'm looking at my haul from February 2016. The physical books that I hauled were Everyman by Philip Roth, which I've read, Imagined Sons by Kerry Etter, which is a poetry collection published by Seren, loved that one. Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, really enjoyed that one. The World of Sex by Henry Miller, and Mistakes in the Background by Laura Dockrell, and I've read both of those two as well. The only physical book on this list that I haven't read yet is Here We Stand, Women Changing the World, compiled and edited by Helena Earnshaw and Angharad Penryn Jones. This is published by a Welsh independent publisher called Honno, who I've actually done a bit of work with. And I don't understand how I haven't got to this book yet. This is a book all about female campaigners and activists, telling us all about the brilliant and really necessary work that they do. I think this is going to be a perfect read for February, so I'm really glad that I'm going to pick it up this month. As for the ebooks that I hauled in February 2016, Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, which I've read, How Hard Can Love Be by Holly Bourne, also read, and What We Left Behind by Robin Talley, which I've read. The 3 books on this list that are still unread are all YA books. We have Cruel Summer by Juno Dawson, who's an author that I've really wanted to read for such a long time, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And I think I can also incorporate it into some of the other readathons that I want to participate in February. I think this book is about a group of teenagers, and I think one of them is murdered, and then they find out that one of the people in the friendship circle may have been the one to commit the murder. I haven't looked any of these synopses up, I'm just going off what I remember. We also have Lorelei by Laura Dockrell. This is a book that has been on my radar since I joined BookTube. It was one of those ones that I really wanted to get to and it just didn't happen. I think the sequel to this book is now out as well. I believe this is a YA story about mermaids. And we also have Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon, which is a YA contemporary romance, which I've heard mixed reviews about, and I think it's about a girl who is allergic to everything. Moving on to February 2017, I acquired, I believe it was 11 books. In fact, they were all e-arcs that I was sent from NetGalley. The books on this list that I have already read are The Doll Funeral by Kate Hamer, Forever Geek, which is the 6th book in the Geek Girl series by Holly Smale, and Big Mushy Happy Lump by Sarah Anderson. The ones that I have left to read are The Other Side of Happiness by Carrie Hope Fletcher. I've not read any of Carrie's books and I would really love to. I don't know a huge amount about this book other than I think there are lots and lots of characters in this and there are some magical realism elements to it. We have Idaho by Emily Ruskovich. I fully cannot remember anything about the synopsis of this book. We have Rest in Power, which is a non-fiction book about the life and death of Trayvon Martin. A couple more non-fiction books. We have Moranifesto by Caitlin Moran, which is a collection of essays by Caitlin Moran. I'm going to put this one as a slightly lower priority. And Lonely City by Olivia Lang, which I believe is all about what it's like to be a woman and dealing with loneliness and being on your own. We have a YA book, King's Cage by Victoria Aveyard. I actually now have a physical copy of this book, but I will try and read it this month nonetheless. There are 2 more books on this list, A Line Made by Walking by Sarah Baum and Carnivalesque by Neil Jordan, but I'm actually going to hold off on these ones because I would like to read them as part of the Irish Readathon, which me and a few friends are going to be hosting in March. All of the details for that will be released very soon, but essentially it's just about reading more Irish literature than you normally would. And as these are both Irish writers, I am going to hold off on reading these books until March. So between February 2016 and February 2017, I have 10 books that I have left unread. While this is going to be a lot more challenging than it was in January, I definitely think this is still manageable, especially since a lot of these books are YA books, which I tend to read a bit quicker than other novels. But as I said, there are a couple of readathons that I want to participate in, so I would rather participate in as much as I can because I think the ideas for these readathons are really fantastic, and I'm going to be talking more about those like next week. And actually, all of these books are by female authors, which is a fantastic way for me to participate in Femmeuary while keeping my own reading challenges as well. I also want to read a classic and a short story collection every single month, so I am going to be incorporating those challenges as well. So if it means there are a couple of books on this list that I don't get to, that's absolutely fine. As I said, this is a no pressure challenge for myself. Let me know if you have read any of these books down below. I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. I hope you guys are having an absolutely wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys in my next video.